Hey, good morning, everyone. I just want to let you all know that we're live on YouTube. Smile.
Tony, congratulations.
Thank you, Dave. Sorry about your race.
You don't have a
voted-
general now, correct?
Pardon me?
No general for you?
No.
Awesome.
Sorry
Morning,
the way
Chief.
yours went. I voted for you.
I appreciate that. You and many others, just not enough. Morning, Darius. I see your name there, but I don't see your face. Jason, Deb, Michelle, Amanda, is that you too?
That's me.
Hey, Amanda, I looked at the agenda last night and on the minutes, there's a note in them about correcting the minutes from June. Did we ever get those corrected minutes or no? Do you know?
For the committee meetings or for the,
It was
Full
for
board.
the minutes for no, I think it was a committee meeting for June. I think there was a problem with them and we were gonna get a corrected version. So, and we don't have to deal with it now. I just wanted to give you a heads up ahead of time. So.
okay. Yeah, Carrie Ann is not available today for me to ask. So
Okay.
I can get back to you.
Yeah, just a reminder that I think we still have to approve those. We can do them probably next time then.
Okay, sounds good.
Michael, can you hear me? Hello, Michael Overton.
He just stepped away to get some coffee.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that's what he did when we didn't see video anymore.
Oh, yep, he's here. He just stepped away for 1 second.
Okay. Morning, Chairman Shotwell. Morning, Corey.
Morning, Dave.
How are you?
Better than I deserve.
Oh, that's good. Hey, Michael? Oh, you're muted. I heard you on somebody else's microphone, I think. Mike, we've got a opening yet on community corrections for a defense attorney. Is there some reason that somebody from our indigent defense can't serve on that, or and Brian's on here this morning?
Morning. You know the answer to that, Deborah.
I would have to look at the description, but I can check into that for you and see what the requirements are, but I don't see why not.
Yeah, that's a vacancy that's been open forever, and maybe they've got some genius ideas that'll help on that committee.
Yep, I'll check into it.
Okay. Hey, Michelle,
Yes?
you have anybody for public comment this morning or no?
No, negative.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Michael, did you hear from Rodney this morning or not? We'll give him a couple minutes.
Rodney's here. He'll be on shortly.
Yeah, I think I see him connecting now. Oh, that's Daniel. Mike, when you said Rodney's here, did you mean where you're at, or do you see him here somewhere? Aha. That'll make for a nice echo chamber.
Good morning, David. I'm here.
Morning, Rodney. We're glad you're here. Earl, are you in the, well, you got a different background there, I'm guessing, but
I'm in Mackinac City.
I was
And
kind
we're
of
supposed to
thinking
go
you were
over
in the
We're supposed
UP.
to go to the island this afternoon, but it's supposed to rain too, so
Do they allow flatlanders up there, or?
I've heard. The trolls with money, they like you to spend money.
That's good. Okay, I think all of our committee members are here, and it's after 8 o'clock, so we'll call our meeting to order. First up, we're looking for approval of the agenda. Tony, and looks like Rodney. Any changes or additions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye or raise your hand. Aye. Those opposed? Agenda is approved. Public comment, Michelle, still nobody for public comment?
Correct. No public comment.
Okay. Takes us down to the minutes of the July 13th meeting. Looking for approval from motion from Phil and support from Rodney. Any changes or corrections? Tony,
The June 8 meeting minutes were supposed to be corrected and presented today. They weren't presented, so I'm assuming they weren't corrected. So we still need to get those corrected and put on the agenda for next month. And if Carrie Ann doesn't know what the needed correction is, have her call me. I'm the one that asked for the correction to be made in the first place.
yeah,
So
Tony, that's what I asked Amanda ahead of time about. And of course, Carrie Ann's not here today. It's Amanda. So Amanda is the boss there and I'm sure she'll take care of it. Was there something else or not?
No, that was my only comment, that we were just missing one.
Yep, that'll come at our September standing committee meeting then. Okay, all those in favor, Chairman Shotwell.
She could present those meeting corrections at the regular meeting Tuesday night if you guys would like that.
Yeah, if she's back and has time, or if Amanda chooses to do it, either way. Okay, any other changes or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Darius, I'm not seeing a video or a picture for you. You have audio by chance?
Yes, I do. There we go.
Okay, there you go. Now I can see when you're voting, Darius. That's always good.
There we go.
Okay, next we have appointments and we have a couple of repeats that are, let me pull it up here, still have no applicants. We have the Workforce Development from Community Corrections Advisory Board and Criminal Defense. And before the meeting started, I asked Mike or Deb to look into our indigent defense to see if one of the attorneys there could potentially serve on this. So they'll look into that and maybe next month we'll have a volunteer to serve on that. So we'll continue to advertise for it. And unless there's a nomination from the floor, we'll move on. Hearing none, takes us to the 911 quarterly report, and we have Jason Hammond on the line. Jason, floor is yours.
Good morning, guys. Can everybody hear me and ladies?
Yes,
Excellent.
yes.
Thank you. What you have before you is my quarterly minutes meeting for dispatch. From the beginning of the year, January 1st to July 21st, we've answered a total of 117,515 calls. This is a decrease from last year, about 7% during the same time frame. The major reason behind this was the stay-at-home order by the governor. We kind of decreased in April and May, a little bit in June and July. We've actually increased. And I'll give you those numbers here in a little bit. We called stock between January to July as well, about 142 times. They act as a barrier for law enforcement on the highways and for the first responders. Just another highlight from our radio system that was approved a few years ago. We had an armed carjacking that started in Troy, Michigan. We had multiple units from the state police, Eaton County, Calhoun County, and Jackson County, all working off one channel. This pursuit actually ended in Springport, and there's 2 subjects that were apprehended as well. So that's kudos for the radio system. I've been working with Napoleon Fire Department for the past 2 or 3 months. Most of the fire departments use a new system called ERS. It's the emergency reporting system. It populates all the information into their software, where as years ago they had to retype it all from scratch. So this has saved time for the fire departments. We will be working with Grass Lake next to get their system up, but right now it's just Napoleon, and everything seems to be working really well. And then another thing I want to mention, I met with Lockout USA. Lockout USA was a group that came in here a few years ago, and they put the boots into most of the school systems in Jackson County. We've been working with them since the beginning of this. They actually ended up giving us a tablet. This tablet actually is for dispatch. We are the first ones in Michigan and the first ones in the nation to have this. If a school activates the boot, dispatch will be notified by the tablet and also by a light that we have in dispatch. Before any calls come into dispatch, it will actually help us assist them in a much quicker response time. Any questions on that?
Jason, I do. Most schools have
Yep.
camera systems at the schools. Does dispatch have access to any of those or not?
No, we do not.
Have they thought about trying to get access or no? Especially
I think
in event of an emergency?
it's a discussion I should take up probably with the superintendent. Yeah, that'd be very
Yeah,
helpful.
I think pretty much all of them have video systems that have remote access, and I think it'd be a huge thing, even if you had it only during an emergency. Just a thought.
Yes, I appreciate it. All right, the next part is total 911 calls for 2020 with comparison to 2019. Like I said, April and May, you see the decrease. June, there was a slight decrease. In July, since it only went to July 21st, to go for the whole month, we actually went up by 0.1%, ending the 21,826 calls for July. We're starting to see the increase a little bit here and there. And then the call breakdown by the types per quarter. As you guys can see, majority of our calls coming into the center are by cell phones, about 91, 92% of it. We're still getting some, about 1 to 2 text calls a month as well. Any calls on that graph? Any questions? I'm sorry. All right, the next graph I have, this is put together by our new software for CAD. I think it's going to help out law enforcement and dispatch. This is total dispatch by time of day and day of week. So as you can see in the first graph, it says police calls TOD. It shows us our most busiest times per day, per hour. So it kind of starts going up about 10 o'clock and then peaks around 3, 4 o'clock, and it starts coming down again around 10 o'clock. Then the day of the week, it just shows us the busiest day of the week that we have. Of course, it's a weekend, Friday. Any questions on that?
Jason, just one for me on the call load for time of day. Are the shifts all staffed equally with employees, or are they staffed according to the call load?
Dispatch, before we got the software, is all staffed by shifts, so it's all equally spaced out. And that's the way the contract's written too. I mean, as far as hours, so hoping that's something we can change here in the near future when I get enough staff going on it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And then again, this is another one by fire departments, time of the day and day of the week. Unfortunately, my printout did not print my lines for the fire department time of day, so I can't really tell you exactly when the busiest time of the day is, so I apologize on that. But the day of the week, it looks like the Wednesdays are the busiest days with about 1,293 calls. Any questions on that one?
Jason, what did you say? You didn't have the time of day for fire calls?
Yeah, when I printed it out, it didn't print my lines, my graph lines, so I can't exactly see what the busiest times of, and I apologize on that one.
Okay,
Question.
fire away, Phil.
Good morning, Jason. Our fire calls, fire calls. I'm looking at the chart day of week. We're 1140 to 1293 range. Am I correct in understanding that most of these are not fire calls or emergency response to fall downs or car accidents or breathing ailments? Are these mostly medical?
These are medical and fire calls. It's a mixture. I can break it down even further than that. I can break it down per call type as well. So I just did the fire calls all together. So these are emergencies and fire calls, car accidents, things of that nature.
Do you, in your opinion, is this cost effective to send our emergency responders out to everything that an ambulance follows up with or gets there first?
That's a loaded question.
Okay, I just wondering.
Chairman Shotwell, did you have a question?
I don't have a question. I have a comment on Phil. Yes, it is Phil. We have Liberty Township that has been working very hard over the last 2 years to get a response time of less than the average, and they've been able to do it. And so it directly saves homeowners on their homeowners insurance. Their fire zone and fire coverage and rescue service have moved from the highest down 2 categories, and it's going to drop 1 more category here. So Liberty Township has worked very hard, and it is a good thing that they do this. There is some true savings that goes to all residents within a township. And that's one thing that's important about that.
That throws a different light on it. I'm just wondering if we need not necessarily we, but private enterprise has got a gap here they could fill by giving us better response time. That would be their goal, and we would need much less of the public service than usually I find that private can do more cost effective. And not saying that, just a place to look for budgeting purposes is all. Fire department, should be for fire and traffic accidents maybe, and the medical calls, maybe they need to step up and add a couple more ambulances, and the people that do it for a living do it. That's all.
Jason, doesn't the actual fire departments just make that decision on what their level of service is typically?
Yes, every fire department's different. Every fire department runs on different calls. That's why I said it's a tough question to answer. Liberty goes on everything as well as Columbia. The city's different. The city only goes on certain calls, so they don't go on all medicals or PDAs, which is our small accidents. So every department's different. And one of the things that Chairman Shotwell was talking about is called the ISO rating. Every fire department's rated every 2 to 3 years on the response times to calls, and that directly affects either businesses and or homeowners on their health insurance.
Any other questions so far for Jason? Jason, back to you.
Thank you. The next slide is the total calls by agency. So these are all the agencies we've used for the past 7 months and the amount of calls that they've went on. The highest is the city police department with 16,555. And the fire departments are down a little lower. I know you guys asked me to put the names up there and not the FDID numbers or eyes last time, so I made sure that actual names went up there with the amount of calls that they do take.
We appreciate that. Jason, question, is this inclusive for the police departments of traffic stops as well, or is that excluded?
Nope, that's included.
Okay, so
These are
that's
traffic
considered,
stopping.
that's considered a call then for an agency, a traffic stop.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And then the next slide, it should say top 10 calls. My apologies on that. Comparable from 2019 to 2020, from January to July 21st as well. Just different calls. The 1011s are alarms. BOLs are be on the lookout. Occasionally we put those in there because of someone traveling down the highway with a high rate of speed, and we have no officers in the area. We put it over the radio. We also put a call in for it, hoping someone can get over there and slow the person down. A lot of other things that falls into as well. Disorderlies, as you can see, we're up on disorderlies right now. Domestic situations, we're also a little up on that. I would have to blame that on the COVID-19 as part of the issue. Everybody's staying at home. Any questions on that?
Commissioners, any questions? Nope.
And the next slide is something I've been working on with the new software for dispatch as well. So this goes by month. Total calls, dispatch takes that we dispatch by the time of day. And then it breaks it down for the grand total, and then it puts the average to it, and also puts the percent of total. So this actually shows me exactly where my busiest time is in dispatch as far as calls being dispatched. It doesn't show the amount of calls, but it shows how many calls we're dispatching to. So we can see the decline, which will actually assist me in the better staffing the dispatch center correctly. I'm hoping to get the rest of the year done and then use this to my benefit and to the public as well. Any questions on this one?
Commissioners? Looks like not, Jason.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. That ends the quarterly report for 911. Moving on to the prosecuting attorney. I think I see Jerry Jarzinka on here. Mr. Prosecutor, the floor is yours. You're muted yet, Jerry.
How's that?
Much better.
Okay. Does everyone have our PowerPoint for our report this morning? Like to go to slide 2, which is warrants, petitions for January, July. If you look at that, the number of warrants that were submitted for review for the first 6 months are actually about just over 2,500. And if you look at the numbers below, compared to 2019, 2018, we're on track to actually exceed that by a little bit to crack 5,000. So the warrants authorized for the first 6 months are 1,620. The warrants denied 886. And going to the next slide, that kind of relates to COVID-19. That certainly has been the story for us here for the latter half of the 6 month period to begin the year. Certainly, I think when you look at our warrant request numbers, if anything, they increased. And I think part of that goes to the LEAP implementation that the Board of Commissioners approved last year, or actually before that, almost, gosh, maybe 2 years ago. It actually became implemented last September. And we didn't know that we were going to have a pandemic, but actually it's helped us process warrant requests regardless if we're in the office or not. And it's actually, I think, very helpful for police officers because they can submit the warrant request from the police station electronically. So that's been a huge help. And once it went live last September, it actually gave us the first 3 or 4 months to kind of work out some of the bugs and to make it work more smoothly. So I think that kind of explains maybe in part why our numbers seem to be a little bit higher than the last 2 years for warrants reviewed. In part, it's a little bit easier to submit if you don't have to actually physically come down to the prosecutor's office.
Gary?
So, yes, yeah.
Can I ask a question on your numbers for warrant requests reviewed? You've got 2,506 through July of this year.
Yes.
And then you've got the yearly numbers after that. Are those the year-end numbers for those years or the year-to-date numbers?
Those would be the year-end numbers for those
Okay.
counties.
Very good. Thank you.
Sure. So the one of the benefits for the this way of electronically submitting warrant requests is that it's more convenient. The officer doesn't have to show up in our office. And for example, when the courthouse shut down because of a positive test for COVID and found out on March 17th of this year, we were still able to process warrants remotely, even though the building was shut down. And in fact, on our weekend warrant duty, we're able to work remotely, both assistant prosecutor and legal secretary, to review. Those people are, let's say, arrested without a warrant on a Friday night stop, that we could review them Saturday morning without having to be physically present in the courthouse building. And so we've actually continued that practice, even though the courthouse has opened up since then on weekend warrant review, just to process them safely, keep social distancing.
Gary, are the judges signing warrants electronically with officers, or are they still having to appear in person to sign them?
Most of the district court judges are doing electronically. Well, I think I've heard one judge want the officer to show up to swear to the warrant. But I think for the most part, they preferred that the officer not appear in person.
That's both during the week and on weekends, or just on weekends?
Just on weekends.
Okay.
Typically. So, but it varies from judge to what their comfort level is with processing the warrants like that, taking testimony. So, any other questions on that and COVID-19?
Commissioners, any questions for Jerry? Don't see any, Jerry.
Yeah, and I just one more last implementation. I want to thank the Board of Commissioners for approving the money for this electronic warrant module for our paperless system, because it certainly has been a great help. We didn't think we'd use it, we'd have a pandemic, but it certainly has come in handy. And also being paperless since 2012, positioned the prosecutor's office well, that the staff could work remotely, even though the building may be closed down or the normal schedule for cases has changed dramatically. Most of our cases are by video conference, and so it's been a challenge. But being paperless has really helped us out tremendously. Well, the next slide is some major convictions that have occurred the first 6 months of this year. If you look at your slide, the Joanna Taylor and Savannah Frinkle case, it was co-defendants in a murder case, the Marvin Bearden homicide, and the sentences they received by Judge McMahon, I believe. Also, Gregory Schultz, he's a multiple offender. It was a home invasion conviction. He had, I believe around 32 prior felony convictions. So received a stiff sentence as a multiple offender. Percy Oliver, a CAC first defendant. Anton Pfeiffer is an armed robbery. Robert Ishmael, unlawful imprisonment. And Kingston Skrinsky was a reckless driving causing death, OWI causing death, collision that occurred on 127 South in the county. The next slide, it talks about our circuit court trials. There's certainly a backlog. I think we've listed the number of 83 pending cases. And you can see on the slide, there are cases coming up, major cases coming up in August, September, October, November. But that really goes back to the COVID-19 slide. We've never, we haven't had a jury trial, since we went down to lockdown in March. So that's pretty true throughout the state. I know courts are now scheduling jury trials in August. We anticipate having a trial go here in August, but we're really navigating really uncharted waters right now, because the current plan is that we're going to use the American One Event Center as a staging area to pick a jury, keep them socially distanced. Once they're picked, then we'll move back to the courthouse. And then the challenge is going to be, how do you space jurors in a courtroom to keep them socially distanced and safe? And if you have a mask requirement, how is that going to work with all the participants involved? And then another issue that is raised is, obviously in a jury trial, you have different breaks that happen, right? And so where do the jurors go if they have to be socially distanced, and how do you do that? And how much time is going to be involved? And so in addition to, witnesses that you have to bring in as well. So that's going to be a challenge. I think we're going to probably have to cross some different bridges and learn from it. But obviously, we can't not have trials. So I know our courts are, especially circuit courts, venturing forth Judge Jordan so that we can go forward. So it's going to be a challenge. I think we're going to probably learn from some things to make some changes. So any questions on that about the jury trials?
Commissioners, any questions for Jerry? Looks like none, Jerry.
All right, thank you. The next slide just kind of goes back to our normal things that we do. The community impact, that's been changed a little bit. More of those are done by Zoom meetings. Obviously, we live in a Zoom world, so to speak. So we are anticipating that to continue at least the next several months. However, I want to make a further note, the next slide, community impact, we still meet by Zoom for our violent offenders group once a month, twice a month in the summer. And we've also participated in some grant opportunities. You might recall the SACI is a sexual assault kit initiative that the prosecutor in Wayne County, Kim Worthy, started with the untested rape kits. So we're basically tagging along on a grant that Ingham County got. We're a sub-grantee to have our cold case rape kit cases pursued as part of that grant program. So we're excited by that. And then we're also participating with the city with the federal grant for Project Safe Neighborhood to work on gun violence cases in the city, in our county. And lastly, something that just developed within the last 2 or 3 weeks, Project Guardian is a brand new federal grant, which again, it dovetails in with the Project Safe Neighborhood, working with gun violence and violent crimes. And we are been asked to submit a grant, participate, where if approved, one of our assistant prosecutors would be selected and would take the gun cases in our county, typically the city, and actually work in the office of the federal prosecutor in Detroit to prosecute those cases. And then the grant would provide money to the county then to backfill that position for 2 years. So we'll see if that goes through, but certainly that would give us more, I think, a personal connection with our cases here that are prosecuted federally. And so I think that's a good thing. We'll see how that develops going forward. So any questions on that at all?
Tony?
Jerry, on the taking gun cases to the federal court? Why would we give up local control?
Well, we've had that's a good question. We've had local control, but we normally have had a good relationship with the U.S. Attorney's Office, gosh, the last, I would say at least 10 years. And why we have done that in the past is under certain cases, the penalties for firearms violations are actually more severe in the federal system than in our state law. So typically, if we know a person's going to get a stiffer penalty, we have done that with the U.S. Attorney's Office. That's why.
Thank you.
Any other questions on that point?
I see none.
And then lastly, just our overview slide. We are still busy. We're still functioning. Again, I just want to thank the Board of Commissioners for approving that request to allow us to upgrade our system to do electronic warrants. I think that's just been a big help for us, and I think our local police agencies to still effectively investigate cases and submit them for warrant review and get those processed with our courts. So that's the end of my report. Any questions on the report at all?
Phil Duckham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jerry, if you read the local newspapers, it doesn't seem like we have any reports on overdoses. We don't have any reports on the street violence anymore. Is that stuff still going on? I mean, if you read the papers, you don't see nothing about it.
Yeah, that's a question. I really think, I don't have any data in front of me, but I think on the opioid issue, I think we've made strides in reduced overdoses, although it's not really reported as much. As far as the gun cases, we still have gun activity typically within the city, typically related to approximately 3 gangs that traffic in illegal guns and drugs. You don't hear as much about them, but they're still active. And in fact, that we're participating in this federal relationship on Project Safe Neighborhood now, hopefully with this Project Guardian. That indicates that we still have an issue there in the city with gun violence. But I think outside the city, I think, I think definitely our violent crime is way less, doing well there. It's just focusing on some violent offenders in the city, which typically it's a very small percentage, but they get a lot of attention, a lot of activity.
Yes, sir. They create a lot of noise. Okay, thank you. That's all my only question. Thank you, Jerry.
Any other questions for Jerry? Jerry, thank you for the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, that takes us down to the Public Defender's Quarterly Report. I think I saw Brian Fortino on here. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning.
The floor is yours.
Pardon me?
The floor is yours.
Oh, thank you. I take it you can all hear me, and you received my PowerPoint. I'm going to go through that briefly and hit the high points, I think. Basically, as you know, we have taken on 100% of the misdemeanor cases in the district courts. And we've also recently added 2 attorneys to the felony roster in circuit court. Contracts for overflow and conflict attorneys have been offered to the misdemeanors attorneys who currently hold the contracts for when their contracts terminate, which will be later this month. Notice of those terminations went out, were mailed from this office on July 9th. Unfortunately, they weren't received by the attorneys until July 29th. I don't know why it took 20 days for those notices to get to those attorneys, but that's apparently what happened. I have been contacted by 2 of those attorneys who are interested in taking on conflict cases and overflow cases. Right now, we don't have a problem with overflow, but we do have a couple of conflicts that we need to resolve. So that's moving along a little bit more slowly than I would like. Felony contract, the contracts for felony attorneys have been extended by the circuit court in the county. That's because we need some space so we can add some more attorneys so we can handle those cases. But we do have one attorney in this office, Kareem Johnson, who is handling a capital felony case. He was recently appointed due to a conflict by another attorney. I expect that we'll have a good compliance or a response, I should say, from the felony contract attorneys. We've heard that all but one of them have accepted the extension, which of course their contracts terminate August 31st. We've heard from all but one, well, we've heard from one who does not want to. The others have accepted the extensions. Most are interested in continuing with conflicts in the district court. As far as compliance, MIDC compliance, we have gone from 34% in Q1 to 54% Q2. And this quarter, we're up to 94% compliance. That means that an attorney from this office is appearing at 94% of first appearances or arraignments, which I think is a tremendous increase. And it's, I think it might be a little bit closer to 100%, but there's seems to be some difference between the court's reporting system and MIDC's reporting system. But we're working towards that. We currently have 282 misdemeanor cases open in this office, and the one capital felony case, and that's growing, of course, every day. We have attorneys assigned to each of the 4 district courts. They are there every day. They handle the arraignments, first appearances, pretrial conferences, and such. Either via Zoom or in person when there's a walk-in or somebody is in the courtroom standing in the hallway or something. So they're there every day just in case. I think we've got a good response time. If somebody's not available or not physically in the courthouse, we can have somebody there within 5 minutes. So that's less time than it takes to get a file from the clerk's office to the district court to the judge. So I think that we're doing well in that area. We also have, in addition to those 4 attorneys for the district courts that are assigned daily, we have two attorneys assigned to arraignments. So if there's overflow in the district court, or if we have jail arraignments, we have attorneys to handle those as well. And we have a compliance analyst who is reporting to MIDC. Moving on to construction of the new space in the basement at the courthouse. We've received 3 cost estimates. They're running approximately $55 to $75 per square foot. The first actual cost estimate that I received ranged between around $180,000 to $240,000. I think that's a bit rich for MIDC. The second one we got was $98,000 to $132,000, and the third was $121,000 to $165,000. That issue is going to be addressed by MIDC this month. I think it's the 16th. So we'll have more information on that, and I can supply the board with copies of the preliminary plans if the board would like, once we get some word from MIDC and I have some idea which way they're going to go.
Brian or
Yes.
or Mike, can I interject a question here? So that's improvements to the basement at the courthouse for an area for meeting with defendants. Is that what that is?
Actually, it's for offices for additional attorneys. If our budget is fully approved, we intend to add another 5 attorneys to the office. So we need some office space. The first idea was to expand. The first plan has 10 offices in it in case this office grows. Now it's office space. It's going to be added to the courthouse. So it's office space that can be used by others, I suppose. There will be meeting rooms for defense attorneys and clients. Of course, if we have attorneys there, we will be meeting with clients in the courthouse in the basement once it's redone.
But my question is, I guess the cost of that would be on the state, on indigent defense, not the county, correct?
That's correct. That's absolutely correct.
And Mike, I see you nodding your head. Do we then lease that area to them, or do we provide it gratis, or what?
Lease it to whom?
Indigent defense? if we're providing office space in our building. We're,
Oh, you're talking about this actual space? No,
yeah, yeah, okay.
no, that has not, I've not had any conversations regarding that. Deborah, have you?
No. Mm-mm.
Would that be appropriate or not?
I'm not sure. The way I understood it was if you had a building, you know, where you could use office space, they would pay for the build out, but not necessarily to lease the space from you.
That's my understanding as well.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Oh, and we've, excuse me, received approval from MIDC to go ahead and purchase and install a Polycom system. And that will provide that service for this office and for the 2 county jails. I was kind of leaning away from that. I had a conversation with Judge Goostrey, and he says that the district court intends to continue to use the Polycom, though maybe not as extensively. Obviously, we have Zoom, and that's worked out pretty well for the hearings and pretrials and arraignments and such. I think primarily the Polycom will come in handy for interviewing clients who are incarcerated with Department of Corrections. Once I have contact with somebody from there, I've tried to contact, well, I'm in the process of contacting the appropriate person over there to work that out. And some, we have 7 attorneys available for court every day. We have 3 legal secretaries. We have an executive assistant, a compliance analyst, and deputy chief and chief public defender in this office. As I said, we hope to expand that as soon as we can get the construction going and get some idea as to what our staff level is going to be. And as you know, that depends pretty much on what the state's willing to fund. Do I have any questions?
Commissioners, any questions for Brian so far? Nothing yet, Brian.
Okay, thank you. Basically, that's pretty much it. I know that I've supplied you with the PowerPoint. There's other information there, but I think I've hit the highlights. As I stated, we have 282 open misdemeanor files and 1 felony, open capital felony, open file that's being handled by this office. All in all, I think things seem to be running reasonably smoothly. It's been difficult to expand the services as we'd like to, but we all know that the COVID has caused difficulties for all the offices. But given that, I think that we've moved along pretty well.
Brian, thank you for your report.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Dave,
Yes,
if I may.
yes.
Just as a heads up, I was contacted by State Representative Sarah Leitner, and there's a movement at the state level and within the Supreme Court by the Chief Justice to add a juvenile indigent defense. And so they're going to be, it appears there's a pretty big movement, and it most likely will move quickly because some of the things are in place. Some of the mandates and such are in place already for the adult indigent defense. So just as a heads up, that may be coming down the pipe, although I don't have a time frame. They're still working on legislation and reaching out to the appropriate stakeholders, but it appears that juvenile defense is coming down the pipeline.
Thanks, I think. Okay, that takes us to JC Dot with the Bio Restore, I think it's pronounced. And I think I see Angie there. Good morning.
Can you hear me?
I can.
All right, good morning. So the first item we have is the Bio Restore program. Last year we did a pilot project. Some of you may remember, we did about 18 miles and then the weather turned on us. But this is an asphalt rejuvenating preservation product that we're using. It is made from soybean oil. It is another tool in our toolbox for preserving our roads that we're working hard to rebuild. It's not a replacement for chip seal, but it's another type of surface treatment that we can use instead of chip seal on various roads. So we're estimating saving about $400,000 by using this on some of our roads once we resurface them versus waiting to chip seal them in future years. If approved by the board, we're proposing to purchase another truckload, which is 20 totes. The program would include applying this to the roads that we've recycled, cold in place recycled to date, all of our roads that we've done. Some of the roads that we've overlaid with 1.5 inch or 2 inch resurface. And then on top of that, the Norville Road project that was completed on a federal aid project. So it's about 60 miles that we would apply this to this year. So we're asking the board to approve the purchase of the BioSeal product at the cost of $265,450. This does include shipping and everything to get that product to us. And it is in the 2020 JCDOT budget.
Angie, it's noted, and I had pointed it out earlier, but it's noted in one spot as 20 totes, and it's noted in another spot as 40. To be clear, it's 20 totes.
Yeah,
and
we
that-
apologize for that. We were looking at doing a 40 tote program this year, but we are going to do 20 totes this year is what we're proposing.
And is the price the same as what we paid last time?
Ooh, Christopher, do you remember? I think it's a little less. I can text Brett, and before I'm done doing everything, I can have an answer to that if you'd like.
Yeah, it's not, it goes to the full board, and you just let us know, I guess, before then, out of curiosity.
Okay, I'll write that down.
Commissioners, any questions? And this does go to the full board. Tony?
Trying to unmute here. Okay. Angie, good morning. I have one
Morning.
question. This is a soybean based product.
Mhm.
Is that correct? Did I hear you
Yes.
say that correctly?
Yep. Soybean oil.
Okay, well, I had a tractor tire spring a leak, and the beet juice that is put into the tires to give it weight and doesn't freeze, the beet juice that spilled out on the ground, a bunch of it, the deer came in and just ate up the dirt that was soaked with the beet juice. Soybean, deer eat that more than they do beets. Is there any information about, is this going to attract deer out onto the road to lick up this soybean product? Has that ever been discussed, or any
Well,
thoughts on that?
I can tell you, we've done a lot of research, looking at other agencies using it and traveling and talking to people. We haven't heard any complaints about it. Christopher, do you have anything to add to that? Not that we're aware of.
No, but it's a good question, Commissioner Bear, and we'll talk with our vendor about it. If you approve the purchase, we can always pull back and not put it down if we see any reason. But to date in our conversations, we haven't heard anything about that. But it's a good question to ask. We'll check into that.
Hey, any other questions? Chairman Shotwell?
Just to make Christopher aware, you treated wick wire right in front of my home. I never saw the deer out licking the road with your beet juice. I don't anticipate there being a deer problem with it. They've been using this for how many years now? And we've not heard anything of mass deer suicide due to beet juice or soybean oil being spread on the ground.
We can ask though, and so I'll get answers to the price being the same as last year, and then any information on deer being attracted to it for the full board. We'll get it to you guys before then.
I have an update on the price, Angie. Looks like it's about $5,500 more than last year
In total? Okay, thank you.
in total. Yeah.
Okay, so if there's no more questions, we need a motion to send it on to the full board. Motion by Rodney, support by Tony. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously. Next up is another JDOT issue. Angie?
Yeah. So the next item is a manhole cutter with a purchase of the manhole cutter and a 47-inch cutting blade, or head, I should say. So this is when we resurface a road with just a paving resurface or recycle a road or do any type of treatment that raises the elevation of the road, we have to raise the structures that are in the pavement, being the manholes, storm sewer inlets, and water valves. typically in construction, the past years, it would be, they would raise them by chopping up the material around it, grinding it, jackhammering it, however, raising it and then pouring concrete, messy, sloppy concrete around it and then paving. And in watching that, we've seen over the years that that will settle or break or cause safety issues. So over the past 7 years, JCDOT's been experimenting with this type of raising of the structures. And we found that the maintenance of the structures that are raised with this method is lower cost maintenance. So we are asking the board to approve the purchase of the manhole cutter and the 47-inch cutting head for the cost of $38,405. This is in the JCDOT operating budget for the year. Any questions?
Commissioners, any questions for Angie? If not, we'd be looking for a motion and this gets approved at committee level. Darius?
Thank you. Just a quick question. I do understand that the dollars for this are budgeted in the budget, but understanding the times in which we're in, as the budget is pretty strained, are there any of these, I know we got a few to do, but are there any of these that could possibly wait until a later date so we know that whether the budget is maybe stronger when we can make some of these purchases?
In regards to the manholes, we would have to get them raised before winter, I think is the best situation, right, Christopher? Because if there's a utility break or anything. So we would be doing it or paying a contractor. It looks like Christopher might want to add.
Yeah, I'll just add that we were, and the other agenda item for skid steer, we were very surgical about evaluating these. And there is a very quick return on investment for both of these items. We're trying to be very frugal and careful with our expenditures. So this has been actually a purchase we've been looking at for 3 or 4 years, and it would have paid for itself already had we moved forward, but we just wanted to have full confidence that it was a smart move, and we feel more than ever that it really is at this point. So as Angie's alluding to, our Blackman roads, for example, we have hundreds and hundreds of manholes that need to be adjusted and cut, and this is the highest quality, most cost-effective way to do it, where our plow blades won't catch those manholes. So there's a long-term cost savings as well because of the higher quality of installations that we can do.
This year alone, our engineering team has estimated, we have about, 400 structures that will have to be raised this year. I'm not alluding to that we're going to do them all with our crew, but just to give you an idea, the bid prices range from $1,200 to over $3,000 per structure. So it fluctuates in the market greatly also. So we're thinking that, like other things we've purchased, when we can do it in-house, it kind of stabilizes that bid price also for the overall good of all of our projects.
Okay. All right, thank you. Nothing further.
Okay, if there's no further questions, again, this gets approved at committee level. Is there a motion? Motion by Rodney, second by Phil. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Passes unanimously. Thank you. Angie, the JC.U skid steer.
Okay, so this item, we were looking for a skid steer, and our operations team found one purchase from William. This is a $40,000 purchase, and this will improve various aspects of our operation by adding another skid steer. The example given in the write-up is specifically about milling. So you'll see in our update later when I talk, we talk about Whispering Woods, I'm forgetting the name, the subdivision that we profiled milled. So when you mill through there, you have material that falls off the conveyor belt that you have to clean up. And our recycling team, operations team, is in need of another skid steer to be able to do that efficiently. So this would be used out there and on other various things. For example, the state maintenance contract, we'd be able to use it out on projects for them, and then it would be reimbursed by the state, the cost of that rental. So the purchase of this does include a spare drive motor sprocket, which is the part they explained to me. So I'll explain to you guys just in case you don't know. It's the part that spins the treads on the skid steer. And then it also has a spare set of the rubber treads that will come with the purchase. And this was estimated by our mechanics to be about a $15,000 value that we would get in spare parts for this piece of equipment. So currently, we worked out an agreement to demo the machine because it is used. We wanted to make sure that we were comfortable with the purchase. And that was a $3,000 monthly charge that we can pay this month and then return it if the board does not approve that purchase. So we are asking the board to approve the purchase of the skid steer for $40,000, and it is in our operating budget.
Angie, you've got that $3,000 a month rental noted in the information, and it also notes it's for July and August. So does that make the payout now $34,000?
Actually, no, we got it in mid-July, Angie, so
Right.
it would run
It
till about
straddles.
now. Yeah.
So 37,000 then will be the payout plus the 1 month rental? Okay. Questions, commissioners? Tony and then Rodney.
Hi, Angie. Reading through here, it talks about you need this because of the debris that is caused by the W-150. To resolve the safety hazard caused by the debris that's necessary to sweep up the material. This can be done effectively and efficiently using a skid steer attachment that is essentially a broom and bucket. Looking at what you're providing here, I don't see the attachment. I don't see the broom and bucket.
We already own that, Tony.
Pardon me?
We already own a variety of attachments. We have quite a library of attachments that we use with our skid steers. Swiss Army jackknife kind of thinking.
They're interchangeable.
Okay, so the broom and bucket is already owned.
Correct.
Okay, if we already own the broom and bucket and we own some skid steers, is this just an additional skid steer so that a existing attachment can be put on it?
It is an additional skid steer that will use the attachments that we have on.
Correct. We currently have 2 skid steers that we purchased over the last couple of years. We phased them in slowly, and now we're finding that the 2 we have are so booked that it's causing inefficiencies to shut down another job. We're begging, borrowing, stealing to keep our projects moving. Again, we're at record levels of work. And here, instead of a new one, which would have been somewhere between 70 and 80,000 for something equivalent from the pricing research we've done, we've identified a quality used unit, which we think is prudent use of funds.
Okay, thank you. I was just unclear about the broom and bucket.
Rodney?
Yes, I noticed that from the picture that it was in the shop on blocks. I hope that was an inspection and not a repair. The other question I would have is that, do you know how many actual hours are on that unit?
I don't, Christopher.
We do know. Let me see if our team can figure that out real quick. I had it in some notes. We were very impressed with the unit. The mechanics looked it over from top to bottom and found no issues, and that's actually when we snapped that photo. The only issue was it's going to need new treads soon, but the seller's providing those new treads, again, which is a $15,000 value roughly with the motor, the drive sprockets that are included. So the net price of this unit is $25,000. It's kind of a very good deal for us, is what we felt. I'll get those hours for you, though. I can email that out, or I can have it here shortly.
Well, my concern is that the age of the machine and looking at the tread wear that's already taken place, it appears as though this machine has been well used. And depending upon the hours, when are we going to start looking at drive motors and the power plant itself needing rebuilt and repair, which is going to take an add to your 25,000. And it's gotta be a real low-powered unit, or I'd recommend going with another new one.
Okay. They are getting us that information.
Okay,
I can tell you honestly that we probably need another skid steer. The team is actually asking for 2 more in addition to this one. So we're trying to pace ourselves and do careful research. You may see another proposal in the next month or 2 for the purchase of another skid steer, given how much we use them. It's just like many of the other pieces of equipment we've purchased. We test it, we pilot it, we make sure that our operators are comfortable. We look for the efficiency gains. And in some cases, we won't move forward with additional pieces. But in some cases, we feel that we need to in order to keep things moving smoothly and efficiently. This is one of those pieces of equipment that you need when you need it. When you make hay when the sun is shining and when projects are all moving. Crews are using skid steers for driveway culvert work. They're using them for the cleanup on the recycling program. They're using them on state projects. It's a new tool that we didn't really own a skid steer for many years, and it's proven as a very a good tool that's really enhanced our operations. A great deal.
Chris, you're working on getting the hours, Chris?
Yeah, it's 1,410.
1,410?
Yeah, 1,400.
Why do you agree that's not a lot of hours?
I do agree. In fact,
Yeah.
I appreciate that number. You know, these units are good for 5, 6, 7,000 hours.
Right.
And other than the fact that it must have been used on concrete to bring the wear of the treads. And it's not that I don't oppose the purchase. I just want to make sure that we're going to get the value for the dollar over the long haul.
So Rodney, is that a motion to approve then?
That is, in fact.
Is there a support from Phil? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Approved unanimously. Thank you. And thanks for getting those hours, Chris and Angie. It takes us to the monthly report, and it's a very long report. Very long report.
I'll hit just highlights quick. Do you want me
Awesome.
to share my screen?
Sure.
Because I won't go over every,
Yeah, especially if you're going to do highlights, that'd be fine.
so can you see my screen? Yeah.
Yes, we can. Yes.
All right. So our July update. I will go, ooh, hold on. There we go. My motion light went out. All right. So first we're going to cover our grant projects, just the highlights really quick. Our McDivitt Ave project, the contract A, or the first portion that started, is going well. The Oak Lane intersection actually is open back up to traffic to the Shell driveway now, which made a lot of people very happy. Then the contract B is moving along very, very, very fast. I can't stress how fast that one's going. We were shocked, but going well. They're installing water main and storm sewer. And this is just a quick picture of the intersection, Oak Lane intersection. King Road, highlight of that one is it's starting August 17th, so soon. And that one is a project that the contractor will be doing the preparation for us. Our team will come out there, recycle it on JCDOT's dollar, and then the paving will be done on the federal aid contract. So everything but recycling is included on a federal aid grant project that was processed through JAX. Lawrence Avenue will start August 30th. That one is a mill and resurface, sorry. So we'll mill down and do 2 inches of pavement on that section. Michigan Ave Bridge, the highlight there is beams are being set. This is a picture of the beams getting loaded offloaded at the structure. So that project is going along as expected, and we're very happy with the progress in that project. Then it's not really staying. The PM, or preventive maintenance, which is the 2-inch overlay project that had 40 miles. We've been updating you monthly as roads get done on this, because it will take the season to get them done. We have the 3 roads completed, and then Devereux is in progress, meaning if you drove it, you might not realize it, but we did some skip paving or spot paving on that road, and then we'll come through and do a 2-inch resurface on that. The skip paving was to get rideability and get the dips and the bad sections covered before we come through with our 2-inch overlay. And we'll be doing that on the rest of the roads also. We were able to work with MDOT to use up some more federal aid money that was sitting in a pot to wedge these roads to get good rideability on them. And then we go to our local roads. Blackman Township, we've just shy of 12 miles of pulverizing in that township for this year. And then 5 miles are paved. Some pictures of that. And then Summit Township, just over 19 miles are pulverized and 17.5 are paved. Some pictures. And then our recycling program, as of the time of putting this in, we had 11.1 miles recycled to date this year. Now, remind you that McDivitt is a multi-lane road, so that takes up some time when we're out there recycling it. So it feels like we've done a lot more miles this year than we have. And then we have some pictures. Whispering Woods, which is the one that I was talking about. This is a picture of the milled surface. So Tony, this is, we went through after we recycled and then used the mill that we were talking about and milled the surface so that when they come in and pave, they pave into the gutter, so that, because it's a curb and gutter street. So that's the milled resurface there without HMA, asphalt paving. Rumen Road, here is a after recycling and then after paving. That road's beautiful. If you haven't gotten out there to see it, it's a nice ride. We're very proud of that project. And then the big thing for, we submitted our safety grants. Those were due July 1st of this year. And our team worked hard to submit a number of projects. The first ones that I'll highlight are the HSIP, or the Highway Safety Improvement Programs. And you can see the list here. And the specifics about that program is it's an 80-20 grant program. And it can be on rural or urban roads, but it does not require the crash history, which you'll hear me talk in the other program. So it's a very competitive program. So we submitted a lot. We have no clue how many we'll get there because a lot of submittals throughout the state go into that pot of money. The next program that we submitted was for the HSIP streamlined or systematic, meaning it's an improvement that takes up more than just one road. So our team, engineering team, put in 3 different projects. That's the maximum you can put for this program. And we drove every single road in the county and did a spreadsheet of all of the curves in our county and what curves didn't have delineation. So basically this is all of our county split into 3 projects to delineate or sign with the chevrons and the reflectors on all of our curves. We're really fingers crossed that we get 1 or 2 of these, and we'll continue to submit these until we get the whole county re-signed on our curves. And then the last one is the High Risk Rural Roads program. This one is the one that everyone talks about because this one, it is a 90-20 or 90-10 program, but it's the one that requires you to have a death or incapacitating crash, at least one. And then the more you have, the higher the ability or the scoring that you get to when they evaluate your project. Most likely, if you have high number of K&A or death or incapacitating accidents, you would get funding. So that is a long list of projects we submitted. Do you want me to take questions at the end or now? Because I'm sure there's some on those.
As you go is fine, Angie. Any questions, commissioners? You'll have to speak up because I can't see you.
I
I have a
forgot.
question.
This is Tony. I've got one question.
Okay, Tony, go ahead.
On your high-risk rural roads,
Yeah.
Roundabouts are advertised or promoted as being a safer than just an intersection. Because if there are crashes, they more of a side-to-side crash than a head-on. But
Mhm.
one of our high-risk rural roads was on a roundabout. What happened there? That the sales pitch for safety for the roundabouts, how do we still have a,
That's being submitted to build a roundabout. I'm sorry. So, and
Okay.
you're talking about Horton and Springport. It's supposed to be Springbrook, and I apologize for that. But we're submitting that to redo that intersection to build a roundabout.
all right, thank you for that clarification.
And you're correct about roundabouts with the stats and the safety of the roundabout for an intersection.
Bill, did you have a question?
Yes, sir. The Jefferson Road, we've had a number of accidents out there and I see it's on the list. What do we do? What is the process where they give it more traction, friction? Is it scoring of the pavement or something added onto the top?
It's a type of, so kind of like the Bio Restore that we had on there. It's a surface treatment that has more grit to it. We actually had someone come in and do a presentation on it. So for that road, because the chip seal that was put on, I think it was 5 or 6 years ago, we put in for a safety edge grant, which is paving the road, a 2-inch resurface. The safety edge, just when you pave, it's instead of being a straight edge on the side of the road, it's a triangular edge, so that if you go off, it's not going to throw you. You gradually go off of it. So we're hoping that we can get the resurface and then put this high friction surface on top of that, because
Thank
we
you.
do have a number of accidents on that stretch.
Okay, well, it's kind of a local community question that has come up. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I can get you some information on the treatment if you'd like.
I'm good. I just need to know what it was and how, if it was scoring the asphalt or treatment or whatever. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next one is our Browns Lake Road box culvert project. And this project was in place a 10-foot bridgelet, as we've joked about them, but a small span bridge that we removed. It was failing, and we put in a 12-foot span by 6-foot rise concrete box culvert. This was contracted out. That was on the board for approval a couple months ago. The project went well. We're very happy with it. Just some pictures of it. And then our updated map of our contracted patching. We've got four townships left, one more to do, 4 in progress. Sorry about that. My computer's stuck. Sorry. All right, dust control. This is our second round of dust control. And we have the southeast corner of our county to do still. And just to remind you guys, Rives and Sandstone, they do not have gravel roads in there. That's why there's nothing on their townships. Service requests. We are going to try to put an update monthly for you guys in this, and there's no surprise to us that our top call is about construction projects, because we're doing so much construction in the county. If I were to guess, it was probably mostly about McDivitt Road and the detour and how to get where and when and that type of thing. Our Deering Road culvert project, we did a press release about this. This one, it had a failure, and because it was a detour route, we had to put in a temporary structure out there. So the existing was a 36. We put a 30 in to get by until the new one was here. And then we've placed the existing structure. Our crews did that in one day so that traffic wasn't impeded more than they had to be. The new structure is a 57 by 38 squash pipe, which this picture shows you. So 57 by 38. And that was a DEQ permitted pipe. So we worked with Eagle on that one. Buckman Road was a 50-50 township share project that operations did a re-gravel on. And to note the 250 tons of dirt that was removed, that was mainly because the road over years had narrowed up. So they widened it, reclaimed the footprint of the road, and had to remove some topsoil and such that had gotten there prior to re-graveling it. King Road, this was preparations that our crews did. We had a 7-foot ditch that they just put a tile in the ditch so that we could connect a cross culvert to a pipe that was taking water back out of the right of way, so that we just have a shallow swale there now in preparations for the recycling project that we're doing here soon. Hudson Drainage Project. This was a project done on our state maintenance contract with Hudson DPW, the Lenawee County Drain Commissioner, and MDOT.
Angie?
Yep.
Angie?
Yep.
So that's one that Commissioner Pileski had sent an email on. And again, you mentioned you did that on the state contract, so that's a state highway.
Yep.
We plow, correct? And we plow the roads there and maintain them pursuant to that contract, and it fully reimburses us for anything done there, correct?
Correct. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah. So our jurisdiction for our state maintenance contract is not just our county. We have jurisdiction that they have on that contract that's outside of our county. So this is an example of that. It was nothing out of the.
US 12 as well, which is coming up, right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
So it was our ordinary MDOT contract, which is the 8.5% overhead. I think you asked about cost. Yep. So this one was, and again, under the state contract, and this area during the winter had ice problems. So working with MDOT, we determined that they needed to have a tile under that road. So we placed the tile, and trenched it out, and then it ties into a structure there. And we haven't had any water pumping since. So we should be good this
If
winter.
I can jump in, Angie, and just point out in those slides that you can see the hydro digs that we approved late last year are in those photos, along with some of the attachments we purchased. A great example of the efficiencies we've gained and the reimbursements we get by doing this kind of work. MDOT's been very impressed with them, and they like the efficiencies and so forth that we bring to the table.
Yes. Then our guardrail repairs, those are countywide, state contract-wide as needed repairs that we highlighted. Different areas that we've done this last month for repairs. Same thing for catch basin repairs. These are as needed. When we have failures, we go out and repair them. And then the last side is the damaged road signs that we've had to do in the last month. We've had some vandalism occurring, so the sign shop's been out repairing them on county roads and state trunk line roads.
Angie, can you get rid of your screen share now, please?
Sure can.
Thank you. Commissioners, now I can see y'all. Any questions from anybody for Angie? Okay, Angie and Chris, thank you both.
Thank you.
That takes us down to claims. The claims are available in the administrator's office. I think that's a motion by Phil to pay the claims. Is there a support? By Tony. All those in favor, raise your hand, please. Passes unanimously. Other minutes are there and the September reporting schedule. And it takes us down to public comments. Michelle, anything for public comments?
Negative.
Thank you. Committee member comments. I see no hands going up. We are adjourned.
I would just
Thank you
remind
all.
everyone that claims are here in the office. So when you get an opportunity, please stop by.
I think I mentioned that.